Alycat's indie viewers? So today is part 2. I had to think about it for a moment there, of my February 2017 favorites. If you're new to the channel and don't know what favorites are, that's where I split my favorites of the month into 2 parts because I have way too many favorites to be healthy for one person. And so you get 2 videos for the price of 1. I list everything I loved in the entertainment industry because I love the entertainment industry more than most human beings. True fact. So without further ado, let's get started with what I loved. A book I devoured and loved so much was Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. This is a book about 3 women in particular, Madeline, Celeste, and Jane, who are all mothers whose children are starting school at the same school in Australia. And something happens at the school, and throughout the book you learn more about each of these mothers and their home lives, and you also learn little bits and pieces of what happens later on in the book that adds to the mystery aspect. At first I was kind of like, this is really soap opera-y and kind of chick lit-y, but then it became so good. It started delving into deep, dark topics. I'm like, I love it. And now I want to read more of Liane Moriarty's work just because Big Little Lies was so good. So good. Will you marry me? Because you were so beautiful. Now moving on to the films I loved this month, which by the way, if you'd like to see what I actually rate these films and books, you can follow me on Goodreads and Letterboxd and see beforehand or see what I rate stuff that I don't mention in the favorites. And also check out my blog for any written reviews. But the first movie I really enjoyed the past couple of weeks has been May. May is a psychological horror film about a young woman, and she had a traumatic childhood. She has a lazy eye, and she's just trying to live a normal day-to-day life, but secretly she has some pretty fucked up interests. And the people around her at first are like, oh, May's just this innocent, if a little weird girl. But once they get to start to know her, and the more she gets to know them, the more the dark side of herself comes out. I found it really fascinating. Again, it's not super scary, but I love the psychological aspect of it. I thought the performances were pretty good. This is one of Anna Faris's first film roles. It also stars Jeremy Sisto, and I just thought it was a really good horror film. It's definitely an underrated horror film that not a lot of people know about or talk about. The next film is one of my favorites of the past 2 weeks. It's actually tied with another film for being my favorite. But that's Inside Llewyn Davis. I'd actually tried to watch this when it first came out, but I wasn't old enough to appreciate it then. I watched it again with fresh eyes, and oh my gosh, this was such a beautiful film. There are magnificent performances by Oscar Isaac, Justin Timberlake, Adam Driver, Carey Mulligan, John Goodman. So many amazing actors and actresses, and this centers on a musician who's played by Oscar Isaac called, of course, Llewyn Davis. And Llewyn Davis is trying to make it. He's split from his band he was in, and he is a folk musician, so it's very difficult to try to get off the ground. And he ends up losing his neighbor's cat, and you see his struggle and his journey with trying to find himself and the cat and trying to become a successful musician. And I just loved it. If you're into folk music, if you're into indie films, if you're a Coen Brothers fan, if you love the actors I mentioned, I do highly recommend Inside Llewyn Davis. Will this be for everyone? No, especially because I hated this movie the first time I tried to watch it. But if you like the things I mentioned, I think you'll like Inside Llewyn Davis. Next up is a science fiction film that I think is severely underrated because barely anyone talks about it, and I just heard about it a few months ago actually. It's called Coherence, and this stars, the most famous person is Nicholas Brendon from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it also stars Emily Baldoni, who is Justin Baldoni's wife, and she is the star. She steals the entire movie. She is fantastic. But this centers on a group of friends who are having a dinner, and they discover some weird stuff is happening. There are power outages going on. There are weird letters showing up at their door. There are pictures of themselves arriving in envelopes, and there's a comet going overhead also. So they had to try to figure out what's happening. It's a very mind-bending film, and it's one you have to pay close attention to. Like, you cannot look away from the screen. You can't let your mind wander. You have to pay attention to this film. And even paying attention to the film, you'll probably want to watch it a second time or a third time to fully understand it. But it's a beautifully written, paced story with great acting. and I think it's so underrated. So I highly suggest Coherence if you're looking for a really good science fiction film to watch. The next film I really enjoyed and was actually really surprised that I enjoyed was Money Monster. This is directed by Jodie Foster. It stars George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Jack O'Connell, and my queen, Katrina Balfe. And I knew I'd love it because of Katrina, but I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I'm not the biggest George Clooney fan, but he is phenomenal in this film. He stars as a man who is hosting a show called Money Monster, and one day during the show, during a live taping of the show, a man played by Jack O'Connell comes on stage and he basically holds the character hostage, and he makes him put him a bomb vest. He says he'll shoot his brains out if the director of the TV show doesn't do what he says, and people around the country are seeing this and they're thinking it's a joke. That is a stage skit for the show. No one knows if it's real or not. Most people think it's not, but it's actually a very real situation going on. It is very tense, very action-packed. I love the acting. The end kind of petered out, but the majority of the film was spectacular and full of tension, and I loved it. The other film that ties for my favorite this month is Blue is the Warmest Color, which I actually filmed a review on, so I'll link that up here and down there, but I loved it. It's a beautiful, moving film, a very realistic film about romance and about discovering who you are, and I adored it. Next up are a couple of short films. First up is The House of Small Cubes. This is a beautifully hand-drawn short film, and it's about this crotchety old man who has continually built floor upon floor of his house because his city is flooding, but then one day he drops his beloved pipe all the way down to the bottom floor, so he has to descend through each of the floors and go deeper down into the water, and as he goes on each floor he relives memories that happened on those floors. It's a very emotional film, a very well done film, a beautifully animated film, and I highly recommend it. And the next is Vincent. This is one of Tim Burton's earlier films. This was made in 1982, and it's about a boy named Vincent Malloy who dreams of being Vincent Price. He loves Edgar Allan Poe, and he's different, and it is a stop motion claymation film, and it's so good. And I love the fact that Vincent Price himself actually narrates the short film. You can actually watch this on YouTube, I think, if it's still up, which it should be. I'll link it down below. If you like early Tim Burton, you'll love Vincent. Now moving back to full-length films, another one I really enjoyed and was surprised I enjoyed it as much as I did was Ouija: Origin of Evil. I never saw the first Ouija, but heard terrible things. The second one is so good. I love the fact that Mike Flanagan, the director, usually doesn't fall into the trope of showing you what's on screen. He builds up tension by having stuff happen off screen or at the corner of your vision, and for the most part pays off. The only times the movie is weak is when it does show you what's going on, or when he uses CG, because the CG is not that great, I'll be honest. But I love the fact that there are cue marks in this film, which funnily enough, after the film finished, I asked my dad if he knows the cue marks. He's like, what? So, if you're a film buff, you'll notice the cue marks and appreciate them, but if you aren't a film buff, it's not a big deal, but it's just a cool little touch. But I thought the performances were great, especially the little girl. She will give you nightmares after you watch this film. It was genuinely unsettling at times, and it didn't feel like a cheap cash grab by Hasbro or anything. It felt like a genuine horror film, and I think it's because of Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan previously directed Oculus and Hush, so I think he was a really good influence on this film, and of course, it was beautifully paced, great acting. It's a good horror film. The next film I enjoyed is American Ultra. Again, this is another underrated film that when it came out didn't get a lot of buzz, didn't get a lot of love from reviewers. It stars Jesse Eisenberg, Kristen Stewart, Topher Grace, and Connie Britton. And it's about a man and his girlfriend who have been together for 5 years. He's so in love with her, but he's afraid he'll lose her because she's gorgeous, and he's just a stoner and he has panic attacks. What he doesn't know is that he's actually part of a spy program, and it's just so much fun. And it's a dark comedy, which is my favorite kind of comedy. I hate most comedies, and I was scared that I would hate this movie, but I loved it. It's like an espionage thriller action film with dark comedy sprinkled throughout, and I loved it. I loved Jesse Eisenberg, I loved Kristen Stewart, I loved everyone in this film. I thought it was very stylish, very well done. It was a lot of fun. I would definitely watch it again. And the last film I really enjoyed over the past couple of weeks was Reservation Road. This was directed by Terry George and stars Joaquin Phoenix, Jennifer Connelly, and Mark Ruffalo. And you could say this is a by-the-numbers revenge film, but I think it's way more than that. It has middling reviews, but I really enjoyed it. The performances are what makes this film great, and it's about two fathers whose lives intersect after one father who accidentally kills the other father's son when he's not paying attention while he's driving. He hits the little boy and kills him. So the other father is trying to discover who killed his son. And it's just interesting to see how their lives actually intersect and how they connect. And like I said, the performances are what really sell this film, but the direction's also really good. Again, it did get middling reviews, so you might not enjoy it as much as I did, but I thought it was a really, really good film. It was a lot of fun to watch, even though it is a tough subject, and it was actually emotionally wrenching at times. I did enjoy watching it. I'd watch it again, and I just thought it was a really well done film. Moving on to TV, I watched the entire first season of Santa Clarita Diet, which is Netflix's latest show starring Drew Barrymore and Timothy Olyphant. And it has a few guest appearances, one by Nathan Fillion, who I adore so much, and I love seeing him in this show. And Portia de Rossi is in this series as well. It's funny, it's dark humor, my favorite kind of humor, and it's about Drew Barrymore's character, who is a realtor who lives in Santa Clarita, California with her husband, who is also a realtor, and one day, for no reason, apparently, she becomes a zombie. And it's just really fun to see how she adjusts to her new life as a zombie, how her family adjusts to the fact that, hey, mom/wife is a zombie now. And it's just so funny. It's such a funny series. I was laughing so much. It is very gross and gory, but I love that about the show. I love gross and gory stuff. And it's really worth your time. If you like quirky, dark comedy, if you like zombie stuff, if you like, you know, gross, disgusting kind of shows, that's such a fucked up genre. But anyway, check out Santa Clarita Diet. It's worth your time. And after 10 episodes, you'll be like, what the? I need more! Also, Bates Motel Season 5, which is the final season, just premiered its first episode, and I thought it was such a good episode. Oh my gosh. It does seem like they've taken a time jump, but the performances are great. I love the story so far. I cannot wait to see Marion Crane in this series. And yeah, I'm sad that it's the final season, but I'm glad that they're wrapping it up where they wanted to wrap it up at. And so far, it's really strong. And speaking of really strong first episodes of TV shows, Big Little Lies, which I just told you guys about earlier, so I'm not going to reiterate the fact, but it stars Reese Witherspoon, Shailene Woodley, Laura Dern, Zoe Kravitz, and Nicole Kidman, along with Alexander Skarsgård. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my god. Sorry. Alexander Skarsgård gives me a lady boner. Anyway, and the episodes are directed by Jean-Marc Vallée, who previously directed Dallas Buyers Club and Wild. And the show is directed beautifully. There are some subtle changes between the book and the show. And the first episode was really strong. I'm hooked. I need more. I need more. Yeah, I should be a singer. Totally. And all the music I enjoyed is listed down below in the description box, so give the songs a listen and let me know what you think. And an app I've enjoyed, which I'm not being sponsored, I know someone will ask, but no sponsorship, is Memrise. I'm learning French at the moment. I don't have a huge vocabulary, so don't start a conversation with me in French, but I'm learning slowly, I'm having fun, and this app is really teaching me words I need to know. It's teaching me how to pronounce them, how to use them in a sentence, how to spell them, and it's got like a mini game involving a rocket and fueling up your rocket, and it's really fun. And if I can, I'll put some information down below because I think there's 26 different languages you can learn using the app, so it's really cool. So those are my favorites for the second half of February. Let me know what your favorites have been this month or the past few weeks were down below in the description box. If you liked the video, leave me a like. Also, if you liked it, make sure to share the video because that helps my channel grow. And it makes me happy. And sing! That was bad, I'm sorry. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you like what you see and heard besides the horrible singing, my face is floating over here. If you hit my face, you'll be subbed to my channel. And make sure the bell, wherever it's located on your screen, is clicked because that alerts you every time I upload a new video, start a new live stream, all that great stuff. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, check out all my sites and stuff. Those are all listed down below in the description box. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. Peace and kisses. Bye!